Well, viewers, good evening. Let me share with you some basic information about writing learning objectives and learning outcomes on ABCD formats. Keep in mind, this is for the beginners, so those who don't know about learning objectives and learning outcomes. These are the objectives, but I will be primarily focusing on this objective that to compose learning intents for the learners are to compose learning objective using the A, B, C, and D format. So what is ABCD formats? And we will ignore this because these are covered in our other lecture, which is already available on my what you can say. You can go ahead to this vlog on this link. So details about learning objective and learning outcome will be there. Just to recall you and refresh you that what is learning objective and learning outcome. So objectives are your what you can say the expected accomplishment. Rather, these are your intents. Intents mean what you are going to do. So in case of outcomes, it describes the accomplished what you can say the it describes that what you have been done and you have been through a learning process. Mean if you are going to join a particular college, like if you are students of medicine program or dentistry or pharmacy, so this is at your entry level, and at your entry level your objectives are to know about what you can say to learn about, to understand the basic knowledge in the, for example, in the medicine program. So these are your learning intents, and in case of objectives you are at the beginning of this. Then there are certain interventions and you are being taught through different mode of information transfer, like you are exposed to PBL, team-based learning, task-based learning, and self-directed learning. And after particular period of time you are at the exit level. So this is a model of what you can say uh, uh, for a particular program. So here we write the word upon graduation the graduate shall be able to. So remember, this is called as blanket statement. This is called as blanket statement. And from this blanket statement you will come to know that either you are reading the learning outcome or you are reading the learning objectives. So for example, at the end of, for example, if you are learning through a PBL as a learning strategy, so upon completion of this problem or at the end of this PBL, the participant shall be able to. So shall be able to mean that you are at the exit level or at the end level. So this is mostly focus on the outcome, learning outcomes. But in case of learning objectives, these are your learning intents. And let me proceed. So objectives are, learning objectives are your learning intents. And as we discussed, for a program like medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, physiotherapy, or any allied health sciences, there are different learning objectives which are mentioned in your curriculum. And why this is for a purposeful education. And as we discussed, objective shall be, or learning outcome shall be specific, measurable, achievable, reliable, timetable, and this is what we call it as smart objectives. So how you will write smart objectives? And all these things has been discussed on that link that I have shared with you previously. Let me proceed. Primarily we will be focusing on the ABCD format of a learning objectives or a learning outcome. So but remember, here the word we use learning, you should understand there are three domains of learning. One is cognition, the second is psychomotor, and the third is the affective domain. Cognition relates to knowing, relates to knowledge, and this psychomotor relates to doing. For example, you know, if you are driving a car, you should know the basics of the gear system, of the brakes and the steering. All these things you should know the particular basic knowledge, and then you start driving, and then you are scared that you see this is related to the skills. So we usually call it as psycho and then motor. So it relates to skills. And when you drive with care, that you shall not have an accident, or safety is your primarily importance, and the other, what you are on the road, you have to take care of them, so you have the feelings for them as well. So this is affective domain. So therefore, these three are the learning domain: cognition, psychomotor, and affective domain. But this is just to refresh your knowledge related to the learning domains. Now, what is the ABCD format for a learning objectives? So A stands for the audience, B stands for the behavior, and C stands for the cognition, and D stands for the degree. Remember, uh, what you are going to learn in a particular learning objective, here you have to mention the audience, and the target audience may be a student of a PBLs, maybe students of all students of the MBBS program, or so you have to make the things clear. To make a smart, specific, measurable, achievable, and timetable, it shall be written on the ABCD format. So let me take parallel the learning outcome, then things will come to know. As in learning outcomes, you are at the exit level. You are at the exit or the end level. End level, remember, of a program or a PBL, or it was the case. And at the objective, you are at the entry level. This is what I discussed in the beginning for better understanding. So here you, for A, stand the audience, and in the learning outcome also stand the audience. So the audience mean the students of a particular program, or the participant of a particular PBL, problem-based learning, whatever the case is, or a workshop. B stand for behavior. Behavior provides an action word with the content. Action word, this is very important. Mostly students do not write the action verb, but then you, this is the action verb that will determine the level of your learning. This action verb will determine the level of your learning. So here your level of learning is explained as behavior, and here also it provides an action verb utilized for the explicit response or behavior. It also is the same. So this is common. A, B is very common in the learning objectives and in the learning outcome. Now, where is the difference? A small difference. Though it starts with the capital letter, that C stands for condition. It defines the requirements and the requirements needed to perform the task. Requirement needed. And here it defines the ability for audience that will give a particular level of competence. So remember, what is competence? Competence is the ability of the graduate that he is going to gain at the exit level. So competence is always at the exit level. Why? Because in between you have been exposed to classroom activity, laboratory activity, PBL activity, and then you reach an outcome, and you go to the exit level, and then you learn something, and that gives you the competence. So here we replace a small change. You see, condition is replaced with the competence, though this is very common. So degree stands for, it gives you the criteria for assessing the performance, mean to which level you are going to 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 give knowledge, to gain knowledge. Let the student, the participant, gain knowledge. So this degree will determine the level of the knowledge and give the endpoints. And again, this degree will give you the endpoints. So a small difference in the learning objectives and in the learning outcome. Learning outcomes are usually at the end level, at the exit level. It gives you certain competence, but learning objectives are at the entry level, and these are your intents. So if I give you an example, let me make it clear with an example. The participant, for example, there is a PBL or any activity or a workshop, or any students enroll in any block. For example, if curriculum is taught by a block system, so medical education block is there. So the participant mean the students of the medical education. So this is the target audience. So let me take another color. I will take another color just for better differentiation. The audience stand for, where is the audience? This is the audience, the participant, but participant is not clear. Here we have made it clear, the student of the medical education block. So your target audience is clear here and target audience are clear here. Now are intended to differentiate. Differentiate is the action verb. This is what we you find it here. So you find A here, you find the word B here. Between, okay, so the participant, the students of medical education block are intended to differentiate between learning objective and learning outcome. So let the student shall differentiate between learning objective and learning outcome. Now this describe your behavior, differentiate between learning objective and learning outcome, but to which degree? For better understanding of the key concept of medical education. So if I, this is your intents. Intended mean this is your intents, so it is an objective. But if I'm going to write this in learning outcome form, the small changes of word will let you understand that this is the learning outcome. At the end, remember, you are at the exit level. So if you are at the exit level, so you will determine at the end of this session, mean if your students are in the PBL or in the classroom, or so the participant shall be able to mean it gives you competence, it gives you certain level of competence, and this certain level of competence is get at the end as I discussed. So it mean now you from here you can come to know that this is the learning outcome. For what? To differentiate, the same action verb is there between learning objectives and learning outcome for better understanding of the key concept. I have intentionally not changed the rest of the words so that the beginners can understand. The students who are in the very beginning of the medical education shall easily understand. So we call this blanket statement, and it is the blanket statement that shall be very carefully written. It should have the audience. Here the audience of the medical education block is there, and this is A, and B is stand for the behavior or an action verb. Here differentiation is going to explicitly explain the behavior of the student. What for better understanding is the level of degree. So you can find this that there is a small difference between the learning objective and the learning outcome. There are certain articles present, like being given by the Professor Harden, uh, and 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 it is oftenly people confuse with learning objective and learning outcome, as there is small difference in the learning objective and the learning outcome. So let me conclude. In summary, for example, if you are at the entry level of a program, so you will write the blanket statement like this: the intended objective for the program name, you will write the name of the program. This will describe, this is the A, and if we go to the ABCD format, so A is here of a program, for example MBBS program, pharmacy, dentistry, or nursing. Able to know, and this is the condition. C stand for condition, to know, to understand. This is the action verb. And for, you will write here for which, to which degree. So you will write the degree as well. So A is here, B is here, and then you go for the C condition, and you go for the D as well. So that will be the, but remember, at the entry level, within you go to the uh, mm, if your intents are there and they are made clear, how through the intervention in the teaching, and then you reach the exit level, and once you reach the exit level, you get some ability and you get some competence, and then we call it as outcome based learning or outcome assessed learning. So the most important thing is that certain curriculum are nowadays written in terms of learning objective and learning outcomes, and nowadays we are focused on competencies of a program, or outcome based curriculum or competence based curriculum, and the learning objective and the learning outcomes are now obsolete. Now this is an old terminology, and the people are focusing on competency. For example, what do you see from an MBBS or medicine program student? that what competency he shall have. So there are different competencies written, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that this two, that an MBBS graduate shall have, or a pharmacy graduate shall have, all these things, and the regulatory council will decide that. So I hope now you understand that what is the ABCD format of uh, for writing a learning outcome or learning objective. But again, you should be specific, your action should be measurable, achievable, reliable, and timetable, and thus all these things shall be written smart as well, beside going to out per ABCD format. Thank you very much.